There is no audio here. Can anybody hear me?
Perhaps we can have staff give Director Davidson a call. He seems to be having some audio difficulty.
I can hear you now. So
Thank
whatever.
you.
So I'm good. Thank you.
Those in favor, contrary, carried.
Item 4.1 is the draft Fraser Valley Regional Hospital District Board meeting minutes of November 24th, 2022.
So moved.
Councillor, or Director Facio and Director Workington. Those in favor, contrary, carried.
Next is item 5, which is appointments to the FVR HD Capital Project Working Group. There is a motion for your consideration.
So moved. Seconded.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Those in favor, contrary, carried.
6.1 is the Fraser Valley Regional Hospital District Provisional Bylaw number 0080. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you.
I'll move it.
Moved, motion number 1, seconded by Director Dixon. Discussion, Director Horn.
Thank you, Chair Pranger. I just was wanting to ask staff for a bit of an update in terms of how this year's budget works in line with what I recall, and perhaps mistakenly, was a standing motion that we wanted to meet with the Fraser Health folks and talk about the alignment of their budgets with ours, and make sure that their fiscal cycle and ours were compatible.
Through the chair to Director Horn, we have been meeting with Fraser Health over the last number of months, and recently came to an agreement that we would meet in the first quarter of 2023 to talk about opportunities to do some of that joint capital project planning. Of course, the Fraser Valley Regional Hospital District works on a calendar year, fiscal year, whereas Fraser Health is April till March. So it wouldn't really have worked out well for this particular year. We were very pleased that Fraser Health was able to submit their minor and medium capital requests so early this year. As you might recall, last year it was rather challenging when we received their request the same day as our meeting, where we needed to have our budget approved in March. So having this early in time for the provisional budget really is a great step forward.
Follow up, Madam Chair.
Thank you. You go ahead.
I just think that I'm certainly going to support, as I said, I moved it and I'll certainly vote in favor of it. I think there'll be 2 important messagings that we need to make sure we have with Fraser Health. And I'll say the first one is that we shouldn't have any surprises. I think that this year's budget impact is minimal, which gives us some time in the coming year to talk, which is the second thing. And that we should just be saying to them, essentially, that we want to catalyze that process because we do need to come to some understanding. My understanding speaking with staff is that literally last year, there were last minute capital items that came to our attention. And we want to avoid that. So, but anyways, I think the motion itself is supportable for this year.
Thank you. Are you ready for the question? Those in favor, contrary, carried. Next item, Ms. Kinnaman.
That we have motion number 2.
Okay. Move Director Lum, Director Popoff. Any questions? Those in favor, contrary, carried.
And then motion number 3.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Director Facio, Director Clute. Any questions? Those in favor, contrary, carried.
Moving down to item 7, we have reports from board directors.
Anyone have a Director Horn?
Can I borrow your prop, Chair Pranger?
Yes, you can.
Because I wanted to actually talk about this. Some of my colleagues along the North Fraser will have received a copy of this letter sent to the chair of Fraser Health as well as to the CEO, Dr. Lee, and CC to the province, and particularly to the Minister of Health. It's a second reach out to Fraser Health from the City of Mission on behalf of at least a portion of our region, asking them to come to the table as part of a larger symposium to plan how we would plan for our region. You'll recall at both this table and this has also been repeated at Mission's table that we've been told there is no such thing as a 10-year cycle for Fraser Health. They haven't planned that far ahead for a host of reasons. The response we got when we asked them to get together with us the first time was that they didn't feel they could do that because they were working on how to put together a 10-year planning process. So that was for us a bit of an ironic situation because we felt that we were asking to help design the 10-year process. The letter that we've sent out at this point suggests that we should work with communities on the North Shore because it was sent from Mission. But in speaking with my council colleagues in Mission, we've agreed we would like to see whether it's Fraser Health coming and meeting with North Shore communities or with all of the communities represented around this table. Mission will be satisfied one way or the other. And just wanted to make sure that everybody around the table knew that that was the approach we're trying to take, just trying to sort of bark up every tree we can to make sure that the voice of Fraser Valley communities is heard in planning.
Thank you. Any other board of directors wishing to report? Seeing none, Ms. Kinnaman.
Moving down to public question period for items relevant to the agenda, we'll just turn things over to our corporate officer, Jamie Van Ness.
I see we do have one member of the public with joining us this evening, and we do have one member of the public online. This would be your opportunity to ask a question relevant to the regional hospital district. If you could, for those joining us online, hit the raise hand function. And for our guest in person, there is no questions. And there does not appear to be any questions online either. And we can move on to the next item.
Thank you.
Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Director Smith and Director Adamo. Those in favor, contrary, carried. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Pranger, and I will call the Fraser Valley Regional District Board of Directors meeting to order. The first item, and thank you, Chair Pranger, for your thoughtful land acknowledgement. I will just also add that this Fraser Valley Regional District Board meeting is being held, and the work of the Fraser Valley Regional District is held situated within the unceded territories of the Statlium, the Naklutma, and the Stalo people. And we're honored to do our work here. And with that in mind, I will call the meeting to order. First item is Kinnaman.
Thank you. Looking for approval of the agenda, addenda, and late items. And I would just note that item 7.2 has been withdrawn by the applicant.
Hey, with that change, I need to move her in a second. So moved,
Chairman.
Facio, seconded by Director Clute. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, opposed if any, the item carries. Next item.
4.1 is the draft Fraser Valley Regional District Board meeting minutes of November 24th, 2022.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Shahal, seconded by Director Pranger. Discussion, errors, omissions, questions on the minutes. Seeing none, your light is still on, Director Facio, but I don't think that's okay. Just checking in, make sure. Don't see any questions. All in favor, opposed if any, the item carries. Next item.
Item 5 is motions for which notice has been given, and it's 5.1, the FVRD board meeting times. And there is a motion brought forward by Director Barkman.
Thank you. Let's get a mover and a seconder on this. Director Barkman, would you like to move? And a seconder, please. A seconder by Director Castle, and over to you, Director Barkman.
Excuse me. Thank you. I guess after last meeting, I'm driving home and just listening to what transpired about other people driving home. And I'm finding that 2 hours is kind of the max limit of what people have to drive. So what I did is I inquired a little bit on what other districts do as far as when their times are, and there's only one other regional district that it's 6:30. Otherwise, majority of the other ones are between 9:15 and 4 p.m. or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. So I guess I thought I'd get it on the table and just see what people are thinking as far as, is this never been asked before? I'm a new guy around the table, so I thought this would be a good time to bring it up and just hear what other people's ideas might be.
Thank you, Director Barkman. I want to check in with staff. Do you need a specific, if we were going to make a change, would you be looking for a specific time to be proposed?
Chair Lum, I think that staff would be open to providing that recommendation. Certainly the past in terms of why the meetings have been held at night, I think probably it goes back to the time when we would hope for members of the public to have the opportunity to get home and have their dinner and make their way over to the meeting. Historically, we haven't had large numbers of the public attend our meetings. And I think through the opportunities that we now have through Zoom, certainly staff would be open to holding the meetings during the daytime. I think one of the challenges, and I would just point this one out that has been brought forward by staff, is that parking is always a challenge in our parking lot. And so coming during the day for a meeting, that would be one challenge for the board. We might have some folks having to park on the street. But beyond that, certainly having all of the staff here during the daytime at your disposal is certainly possible. I would just recommend that we stick with Thursdays because that avoids a lot of the meetings that the member municipalities have. And it's nice and neat and tidy in our procedures bylaw. So I suppose I would recommend a time of 10 a.m.
Okay. Comments or questions from board directors? Director Horn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Speaking with concern about the motion on 3 levels. The first is this is I hear Ms. Kinnaman's comments about the numbers of the public that we get, but I think about public hearings in particular. And when folks need to attend a public hearing on a matter related to land use in their community, I'm concerned about their ability to be here outside of working hours. Second, the literal logistics of trying to schedule it within the calendar. And I don't know what it's like for other mayors around the table, but it will be exceedingly difficult. We had a difficult time coordinating the Joint Chaired Services Committee meeting with Abbotsford and the East Committee, just as one example. And I can't imagine Mission would be alone in that. And then third, I think there are members of this board who are employed outside of their work as elected representatives, and I'm concerned about what that can do to their availability. I know I have literally been eliminated from the opportunity to serve in times when meetings were scheduled in conflict with my work, and I'm concerned about that.
Thank you, Director Horn. Director Facio?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I agree with the motion and the time of 10 o'clock being brought forward by the staff. As I said at the last meeting, to have our staff here to late at night, by the time they get home to their homes, I think this would alleviate that. As far as the Director Horn brought up regarding the public hearings, I'm sure we could adjust the procedure bylaw that the public hearings would be in the evenings and not during the day. That's just a matter of, I believe, adjusting the procedure bylaw. But 10 o'clock, I personally can only speak for 3 of my former councillors who were full-time workers, but they we had several meetings, special meetings at 10 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning. So I'm not saying it works for everybody, but it worked for them. So I'm in favour of the 10 o'clock start time for the. I'm assuming that would be the RACs and the board. Well, the RACs is at 10 anyway, and board meetings. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'll recognize Director Mercer and then Director Davidson. Director Mercer, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have to agree with our director from Mission. I think I might be in the minority here that I'm retired and my schedule is somewhat more flexible, but I'm not sure that this would work or be fair for people that have other substantive jobs and happen to be elected to the regional district.
Director Mercer, Director Davidson, go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Sharing the concerns of Directors Horn and Mercer. I would also add, there's actually language in our Code of Responsible Conduct speaking to that we will allow for meaningful and appropriate opportunities for citizen and community input, engagement, discourse, and feedback. And I think moving this meeting to midday is taking us in the wrong direction on that front as well. People have more time in the evenings should they wish to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Further comments from the board? Director McElhonick?
Yeah, I mean, when I came on, I really looked at that. I'm already attending other meetings during the day, and I do work. So, I mean, I could make it work, but it would be a loss of income and impact my ability to do other things. So, I mean, I might be a minority as well, but yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Director McElhonick. Check in again. Any comments for first time from board directors? Director Ross, or Vice Chair Ross.
Thank you. Just reflecting on your recent comments, I guess my concern is, like, I'm not opposed to changing the time to during the day. My concern is when we do this, because a lot of people ran for office or took on this obligation understanding a certain time frame. And I'm not sure it's fair to those people to change them up and cause hardship to any of the board members who have obligations to their constituents. So that, I guess, if we're going to change the time, we probably should do it prior to the next election, in fairness to anyone running or appointments being made, rather than after that has happened.
Thank you, Vice Chair Ross. Check in one more time for a first time. Anybody who's spoken for a first time who wishes to speak for a second time? Director Barkman, any further comments as the mover of the motion?
Well, I guess this discussion is why I brought it up, because there's all kinds of different schedules that we all have. The knowledge of this is when the time was, and people already have scheduled other times. I'm okay with that, but I just thought it was the beginning of the term and this would be a good time for the discussion.
Thank you, Director Barkman.
And myself, I'm good either way.
Okay. Are we ready to call the question then on changing the meeting time? And the time that's being proposed is 10 a.m. So I'll call the question. All in favor? And let's keep the hands up high. And Ms. Van Ness, are we good? And opposed? The motion is defeated. And thank you, though, Director Barkman, for the important discussion, though. And next item, Ms. Kinnaman.
5.2 is agenda publishing dates, and there is a motion for your consideration, and this one was put forward by Director Davidson.
Thank you. And Director Davidson, would you like to move? And
I'm with it. Thank you.
Seconded by Director Clute. Discussion, Director Davidson, to you.
Thank you, Chair. Just getting the agendas out before the weekend just gives me essentially 3 more days to consult with the community and come into these meetings better informed. It just makes having them come out on Monday essentially cuts that time in half, because this is a lot of weekend work for me normally. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Director Clute, go ahead.
Thank you. Just through to staff. I guess I'm curious from your perspective, is it a big challenge to have them come out Friday versus Monday?
Through the chair to Director Clute, staff have no concerns about publishing on a Friday. The only caveat to that would be that sometimes information has the potential to change between the publication date and the actual meeting when there's a significant lag time. In the past, staff have been advised by the board that they prefer not to receive addendas to published agendas. So in the instance when there's such a significant lag time, the opportunity that might be needed an addenda is increased. So as long as the board is comfortable with addendas coming forward, or understanding that new information may be provided on board night, we have no concerns.
So if I may further to that, I'm just curious, we made a recent change where they did come out Friday. Was that the rationale why we went over to a Monday, just because the increase,
No. Through the chair to Director Clute, in our procedures bylaw, we publish the agendas 4 days prior to the meeting. And what changed is when RACS and EASC was moved from Tuesdays to Thursdays. And so the agenda publication date would have been Monday in that instance. So with the exception of when there is a holiday on a Monday, we would publish on a Friday anyway. So we're comfortable with publishing on a Friday.
Ms. Kinnaman, other questions, comments? Some lights on? Nope. Okay, you ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Next item.
6.1 is the local government requirements under the Accessible British Columbia Act. This is an information item, but we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions for this item, and this for the board's information. So this will result in the creation of another committee here at the FRD. We do have a number of committees and standing committees in which I'm working on right now, and expect to see that come before you in January. So just as an aside, this and the additional committees that are there. So if there are any questions on this item, the municipal directors will be familiar with this, because in your own respective municipalities, you will also be creating these committees. No, don't see any. Next item.
7.1 is also an information item. It's grant and aid processing.
Thank you. Questions? Don't see any. Next item.
7.3 is the 2022 grant and aid for the McConnell Creek Farmers Institute in electoral area F.
Thank you. Mover and a seconder. It's moved by Director Davidson, seconded by Director Lowen. Discussion.
Davidson,
Go ahead.
fully supported. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Any other comments? Hearing none. Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Next item.
8.1 is official community plan amendment bylaw number 1653 and zoning amendment bylaw 1652 to facilitate a 2-lot
Did we miss
subdivision at
one?
1-3.
Did we miss 7.3?
No, that was 7.3. We removed 7.2 from the agenda.
Oh,
at
that's
the
the one we
outset.
removed. Oh, boy, there we go. That's one strike. Sorry. Next item.
It's not often that I win.
That's a dollar fine right there. That's $1.
8.1 is official community plan amendment bylaw number 1653 and zoning amendment bylaw 1652 to facilitate a 2-lot subdivision at 13088 Sylvester Road in electoral area F.
Thank you. And this is for EAs. Do I have a mover and a seconder? It's moved by Director Davidson, second by Director Castle. Discussion.
Davidson,
Go ahead.
again, fully supported. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Any other comments? Don't see any. Call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. It's because I had a cheeky remark about Christmas coming early in area F, and then I missed that, removing that. And that's why. That's my defense. I know. Okay. Next item.
8.2 is the Fraser Valley Regional District zoning amendment bylaw number 1681 to assign an amended general industrial zone to 54370 Bridal Falls Road in electoral area D.
Thank you. This is EAs again. Do I have a mover and a seconder on motion number 1? It's moved by Director Dickey, seconded by Director Adamo. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed, if any? Item carries. And motion number 2, a mover and a seconder. This is EAs again. It's moved by Director Johnson, seconded by Director Dixon. Discussion. Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Next item.
8.3 is Fraser Valley Regional District zoning amendment bylaw number 1620 to facilitate the development of an indoor film production facility at 44390 Bayview Road in electoral area C.
Okay, this is EAs again. I have a mover and a seconder. It's moved by Director Wardenberg, seconded by Director Castle. Discussion. Director Wardenberg.
Yeah, I read over this. Yeah, I fully support it and look forward to the public response at the public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Wardenberg. Other comments or discussion? Ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed, if any, the item carries. Next item.
8.4 is the Fraser Valley Regional District Zoning Amendment Bylaw number 1640 to facilitate a two-lot subdivision at 10228 Stave Lake Road in electoral area F.
Thank you. Mover and a seconder. It's moved by Director Davidson, second by Director Castle. Discussion. See the thumbs up from Director Davidson. Hearing none, call the question. All in favor? Opposed, if any, item carries. Next item.
8.5 is the Fraser Valley Regional District North Cultus Sewer System Fees and Charges Amendment Bylaw number 1685.
Thank you. Mover and a seconder. Moved by Director Dixon, seconded by Director Johnson. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, opposed if any, item carries. Motion number 2 is moved by Director Dixon, seconded by Director Horn. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, opposed if any, item carries. Motion number 3 is moved by Director Gibson, seconded by Director Clute. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, opposed if any, the item carries. Next item.
Next item is item 9, and I believe you have a script in front of you, Chair Lum.
No, I actually memorized it.
Excellent.
No, I didn't. Pursuant to Part 14, Division 9 of the Local Government Act, this is the opportunity for the FERD Board to hear from the public regarding the 2 development variance permits listed on the agenda for this meeting. Anyone who believes that their interests are affected by the proposed applications will be given the opportunity to speak. If you have any verbal comments with respect to this permit and you are joining us by Zoom on a computer or smart device, I'd ask you to please press the raise hand function. When it's your turn to speak, you'll be asked to unmute yourself. If you are joining us on Zoom by phone, please press *9, and this will notify staff that you wish to speak. When you're prompted to unmute yourself, please press *6. Those of you wishing to speak are asked to begin your presentation by providing your name and your address, which will be recorded and form part of our official record. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes and confine your remarks to the application at hand. Ms. Kinnaman.
9.1 is Development Variance Permit 2022-12 to reduce the interior lot line setback at 17600 Arbor Road in electoral area C.
Thank you. And is there any comments from the public regarding this development variance permit? And Ms. Van Ness, anyone online?
We do have one phone caller joining us on Zoom. So this would be your opportunity to ask a question. And we also have one member of the public joining us. If they have any questions.
Thank you. I'll just call for a second time. A third and final time. And hearing none. This is for EAs. Mover and a seconder. It's moved by Director Wardenberg, second by Director McElhonick. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, opposed if any, the item carries. Next item.
9.2 is Development Variance Permit 2022-13 to increase the maximum size and height for an accessory building at 10307 Woodrose Place in electoral area D.
And I'll check, are there any comments from the public on this item? And Ms. Van Ness online.
We no longer have any members of the public joining us on Zoom. So
Scared
no
them
comments.
away, did we? Okay. And for a second time, third and final time. Okay, what's the board's wishes? I need a mover and a seconder by Director Dickey, second by Director Johnson. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed if any? Item carries. Next item.
10.1 is the Sunshine Valley Transfer Station Operation and Waste Collection Contract for electoral area B.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Adamo, seconded by Director Johnson. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed if any? Item carries. Next item.
10.2 is the Residential Curbside Waste Collection Contract for electoral area B.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Adamo, seconded by Director Clute. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed if any? Item carries. Next item.
10.3 is a covenant for the proposed subdivision of 11402 Hodgkin Road in electoral area C.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Wardenberg. You okay with that? And seconded by Director Lowen. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed if any? Item carries. Next item.
Next is 11.1, which is the 2022 Fire Smart Summary. It's an information item that staff will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions on this item? see any. Next item.
11.2 is the Cultus Lake Evacuation Guide for Electoral Area H.
Thank you. Again, another information item. Any comments from directors? Director Dixon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just thank you. This has been working on it for a while, and I know it'll be well received in my community. So huge shout out to Ms. College for all her work on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Dixon. Other comments from board directors? Don't see any. Next item.
11.3 is the Regional Growth Strategy Update, another information item.
Thank you. Any questions on this item?
Davidson?
Go ahead, Director Davidson.
Thank you, Chair. Through to staff, I'm reading the report on what's happening next, and it speaks to the informal approvals that'll be sought from municipalities. Is there anything in the plan that basically has informal approval being sought by electoral area directors? The reason I'm bringing it up is that I do have some concerns. I think the amendments look great, but I still have some concerns about the climate change section. And I'm just wondering, you know, when's my opportunity to share those concerns with somebody? Is it here and now, or I don't want to wait till first reading and a bylaw adoption meeting? I think it's best to have this kind of discussion beforehand. I'm wondering if staff could speak to EA approval process going forward from now.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Ms. Kinnaman.
I see that we have Allison Stewart, our Manager of Regional Strategic Planning, on the line. I think she would be able to answer that question.
Ms. Stewart.
Yes, in terms of the formal approvals as set out in the legislation, it's with affected local governments, which is the municipalities and adjacent regional districts. However, with the electoral areas, we can certainly have more discussions. We're not at the formal bylaw stage at this point. Part of the proposed intergovernmental advisory committee is for everyone to take a look and make any other adjustments that need to be made. So if there are, I think one of the things we will likely do is come to EASC and discuss the plan. And if there are some issues at that time, then we can incorporate that into the plan. But there isn't the formal approval process for the EAs would be through the board approval as opposed to being affected local government. So it's a little bit different treatment.
Through the chair, thank you. Just as long as we get another kick at the can before we go to sign off. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Davidson. Thank you, Ms. Stewart. Other questions or comments? Director Horn.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, to Allison, if we can, just looking at page 26, 23A in particular, which is about protecting and supporting employment lands. And that segment suggests that there would be the development and maintenance of an employment lands inventory. So my question before my comment is the intention to get from local municipalities a sense of where they are projecting their industrial lands will go so that there is a bit of a mapping. There's a reason for the question, and the question is basically so that we can both regionally and in advocacy to the province, think about how goods and people will move out of industrial areas. So I'll leave that for a question for Ms. Stewart.
Ms. Stewart.
Yes, I think it's I know different municipalities have done inventories over the last number of years, but I think having a regional sort of overview would be assistance, and it would be working with our member municipalities to put that together. They are the most knowledgeable about what's going on in their areas. So, you know, we know that it's a regional concern, and I think it would help bolster our arguments in terms of the need to ensure that there's land to support industry, especially as it relates to agriculture, which is sort of ironic, but our ag sector is industrial in nature in a lot of ways, and we need to make sure that those businesses are the ones that aren't pushed out by non-agricultural industry. So it's certainly something that we've been thinking about over a number of years, but I think given the shortage now, it's more important for us to take a collaborative approach to this problem.
Thank you. So as a follow-up, Mr. Chair, I had a similar question to Director Davidson in terms of how we might, as a board, give feedback on the document. And my 2 points would be that there should be ultimately, I think, a map once we've done this inventory, literally depicting where current and projected industrial lands will be throughout the region, so that when we're working in advocacy with the province, we can have a sense of where goods movement will need to be. And that there should be under this section, in my view, an item 2.3F that says that we would be working towards creating corridors for goods and people movement from employment lands. So currently everything that's there is very good, but that's the one gap that I think we can strengthen. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Horn. Other comments? Don't see any. Next item.
11.4 is information pertaining to the evaluation of noise and particulate matter emissions associated with commercial gravel operations in the Fraser Valley Regional District. Again, an information item, but some good work and happy to discuss.
Thank you. Questions or comments from board members? Director Dickey.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to say it's nice to see the our local governments working in with the aggregate industry to protect our communities from some of the adverse impacts that we've historically encountered from aggregate production. So good to see this move forward. Thank you, staff.
Thank you, Director Dickey. Other comments? Don't see any. Next item.
11.5, similar item is dust suppression measures on the first 1.5 kilometers of Chehalis Forest Service Road in Electoral Area C.
Comments, questions?
Yes,
Wardenberg.
yeah, since this directly affects me and where I live, I'd like to thank the staff for taking initiative with the Forest Service Road permit holders, and I hope this is just the beginning, and look forward to you working with them next year, and hopefully we'll get more than one treatment done. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Wardenberg. Other comments? No. Next item.
11.6 is the air quality monitoring study. There is a motion for your consideration.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
It's moved by Director Facio, seconded by Director Dickey. Discussion. Director Barkman.
Just a question on low cost sensors. Is that because we're frugal, or that's the best value for what the information we want back?
Thank you, Director Barkman. Ms. Kinnaman.
Thank you. I see that our Manager of Environmental Services, Lance Lilly, is here this evening, and he can answer that question.
Mr. Lilly.
Hi, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Through the chair, a little bit of both. These are the low-cost monitors are a fairly new technology. Up to this point, measuring air quality has required very expensive technology. And these low-cost sensors that are, $400, $500 are fairly new into the market. They're only good for measuring particulate matter and a few other parameters, but that's about it. And they aren't at the same level of accuracy or regulatory function needed for other purposes, like our main air quality stations. But they're really good. We're hoping they're really good. That's what we're testing out for general awareness and educational purposes. And that's what we're trying to accomplish with this study.
Thank you, Mr. Lilly. Director Horn.
Repeating a comment I made during the RACS meeting on this one, I'm fully in support of it. I think it will be lovely for us to ultimately move towards a dashboarding system where people who have respiratory issues can track the air quality in real time in their communities. It's a great first step, but I hope as we see longer forest fire seasons and movement within the region of smoke, one day it'll be good, one day it'll be bad. It'd be lovely for folks to be able to tune into the website and see whether or not it's safe to go outside that day.
Thank you, Director Horn. Other comments? Seeing none, are we ready for the question? All in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Next item.
11.7 is the British Columbia Destination Development Fund opportunity. There is a motion for your consideration.
Thank you. It's moved by Director Pranger, second by Director Shahal. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed, if any? The item carries. Next item.
11.8 is the BC Air Access Program funding application.
Thank you. That's moved by Director Barkman, seconded by Director Horn. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, opposed if any, the item carries. Next item.
11.9 is the Community Emergency Preparedness Fund Emergency Support Services Grant for 2023.
Thank you. That is moved by Director Clute, seconded by Director Johnson. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, opposed if any, the item carries. Next item.
11.10 is the Hatzic Prairie Water System Reservoir Crown Land Tenure.
Thank you. That's moved by Director Davidson, seconded by Director Castle. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, opposed if any, the item carries. Next item.
Moving down to reports by board directors.
Thank you, board directors. Now would be your opportunity. Director Pranger.
Thank you, Chair. I would like to invite everyone to Agassiz for Saturday night at 5:30. The holiday train is making its first appearance in Agassiz in 3 years. The only admission is food items for the local food bank. It's a fun event with entertainment and the beautifully decorated CP rail train. So I'd love to see all of you out there. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Pranger. Director Ross.
That's a very important announcement. I have brought a couple of trays of Nanaimo bar for those of you who haven't yet discovered it. So it's in the back room, but it's for staff as well as the board.
Ms. Kinnaman, do you have a comment on that or?
They're excellent, Director Ross.
Are they called something else when we're not on the island? This is a different regional district. I think they should be Chilliwack bars.
I will take that shot.
Director Horn.
I will encourage all members of this board to participate in the holiday quiz, the mission trivia quiz that I did. And you do not, and Ms. Kinnaman does not want me to report publicly on her score. You do not have to donate to a mission charity when you inevitably fail the quiz. It's the mechanism is that if you score 5 or higher, I will give money. If you score 5 or lower, you have to give $1 per wrong answer to a local charity. You don't have to give it to a mission one. I'd encourage you all to participate. You'll find it on my Facebook and other places with social media.
Director Dixon, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to counter Director Pranger. I won't be at your holiday train because I will be at Cookies and Cocoa with Santa at Columbia Valley Hall. So there you go. If you don't want to go to the holiday train, feel free to come up to Columbia Valley Hall.
And Director Facio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mine's very simple and very meaning. I wish you all, staff and all of the directors, a very Merry Christmas and a happy, safe New Year. It's been a pleasure being with you people again, and I'm looking forward to the new year and new ideas. It's thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Director Facio. Director Castle.
Thank you, Chair Lum. I will just repeat a report that I made at EASC with regards to a meeting that I attended with regards to the Hatzic watershed that was also attended by Director Horn, who was Mayor Horn at that time, MLA, now Minister Alexis, Rick McCamey representing LaCampbell, Director Davidson, and staff, including CAO Kinnaman. The agenda of the meeting included discussion around about the need for a recovery roundtable for the Hatzic Lake watershed. And it included more comments about who wasn't at the table than who was that need to be there. We also identified priorities moving forward with the recovery from the 2021 flooding in the Hatzic watershed, though I dare say it was debatable whether we left with a feeling that recovery would include building back better. But nonetheless, the meeting occurred and it was decided another meeting will occur in January. Thank you.
Thanks, Director Castle. Director Johnson, go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you, Chair.
Good evening.
December 2nd, a craft fair was held in the Boston Bar Hall. It was well attended and had many vendors. So after a couple of years of no events, I think people were happy to get out and share their wares. December 4th, we had Stuff the Cruiser and raised I haven't got the official final count. Someone said over $2,000. Someone else said they thought it was 3, but somewhere in between there. I mean, what's $1,000? And 156 pounds of food. And December 9th, Trina Douglas took care of having a generator installed at the Boston Bar Fire Hall to operate the bay doors when there is a power outage. This is a temporary fix as the doors need to be replaced. December 11th, the Boston Bar North Band Enhancement Society hosted a seniors Christmas dinner with about 50 to 60 seniors in attendance. And December 22nd, coming up, I've been invited by Chief Pam of the Boston Bar Band to participate in judging their decorated houses and sharing hot dogs and hot chocolate. And also I've had some discussion with the Ministry of Transportation around their snow plowing contract. That's about it.
Thank you, Director Johnson. Other directors, Director Adamo.
Thanks very much. A couple things. Yale ratepayers just conducted their annual Christmas dinner that they resurrected after the last couple of years. They had about 70 people attend, so it was a great event for everyone that was there, and Santa Claus did pay a visit. And if you're looking for something to do, this is an open invitation to staff and directors as well to come up and visit us in the Sunshine Valley. You can now snowshoe, and the outdoor skating rink is available. And if you're really brave, you can skate on Cedar Lake because it's frozen solid at about 10 inches thick. So come on out and have some fun. If you want to get out of the rainy part of this lower mainland area, come up and visit us. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Director Adamo. Director Wardenberg.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Yeah, to everybody who any ski enthusiasts here, Sasquatch Mountain opened yesterday, so we invite you to come up there. I should mention I was on call there with them this morning. Sandpiper Resort is all lit up for the Christmas season, and the Sasquatch Inn has just finished a nice renovation, and yeah, we look forward to anybody who wants to visit. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director Wardenberg. Other comments or reports from board directors? Director Gill, go ahead.
Thank you through the chair. On December 8th, the chamber hosted the Merrill Christmas lunch, and the city of Mission through the Municipal Forest Reserve made a contribution to the Fraser Valley Healthcare Foundation towards the CT scanner for Mission of $377,500. And now Mission is squared up the CT scanner.
Wonderful news. Wonderful news. Director McAhonig.
Just feeling a little Christmased out with a lot of different events this year after having a hiatus from with the pandemic. But yeah, I've been out to the Chilliwack River Valley Fire Department Christmas dinner. I attended their AGM, took Christmas cookies, and been meeting with some staff on different things, and I'm setting up meetings with some residents that have been impacted by the floods and slides. I'll be meeting with staff with Graham on that. And yeah, so, and working with a couple of residents too on partnering up with some of the members of the point in time homeless count so that we can get some of that done. Thank you.
Thank you, Director McAhonig. Other reports from board directors? Should have said we have two alternate directors with us tonight, Director Dreesen and Director Workinson from Abbotsford. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And I don't see anyone else. Okay, no. Good offering of Christmas cheer here at the board. Lots of things to do and see. Ms. Kinnaman, next item.
Next item is public question period for items relevant to the agenda, and we'll just turn things over to Jamie Van Ness.
Ms. Van Ness.
We have no members remaining on the Zoom call with us today. We continue to have one member of the public in our audience today, and this would be their opportunity to ask a question relevant to the agenda. Appears no questions.
No questions this evening? Let us off easy. All right, next item.
Looking for a resolution to close the meeting.
So moved.
By Director Facio, second by Director Ross, all in favor, opposed if any item carries.
And we'll just take a 2-minute recess.
We'll just take a 2-minute and I'm over.